Hello, Next Geners. Welcome to our Friday form preview. It's Good Friday ahead of Easter Saturday. I'm really excited about this card tomorrow, Hayden. Vinery Stakes in the Tancred, and it comes on the back of a pretty good week last week.
It was a very enjoyable card last weekend. The slipper card was very good. I thought the track and the card itself was very, very good. The track was raced extraordinary.
Yeah.
I thought it did. I thought it raced extremely well. Slipper winner, simply brilliant. Tommy Berry had an absolute day out. He's one of my absolute favourite riders anywhere in the world, Tommy Berry. And I'm putting the challenge out to you that I want Tommy as our next guest on the show. So that's something for you to work on in the short future. And little ice cream time, I think. She was pretty good in the last. I think if you take the overall fluctuation, she was 14s into 6s by the end of it, but won like a favourite.
Did win like a favourite, and it's funny how bullish we were on a couple. You were so bullish on seasons. Watching back that clip, I don't think you realised how confident you were on the podcast. And then I think we were pretty shocked at the price for Eduardo as well. And geez, he won like a good thing. I think he might now be pushing best 1,000 metre, 1,100 metre horse in the country. 1,200 is going to be a question mark when we get to the TJ. A bit of other news around. Glenn Boss pushed off Bivouac for the TJ. Hugh Bowman takes the ride. Is there been, like we made Bivouac one of our better bets a couple of weeks ago, didn't get close to the stablemate Savatiano. It was beaten a couple of lengths, but not the sort of devastating turn of foot that we've seen. What do you make of that? Have you seen anything in the rides, the tactics that warrant a jockey change? Is Bossy not firing as well as he liked? I thought his ride last weekend on Think It Over was a really good one. And then obviously Huey Bowman's in pretty good form as well.
Yeah, Group 1 Glenn, he was a little bit stiff to get the boot off Bivouac. He did get the ride originally under... there were circumstances around him getting that ride. That horse has naturally been Hugh Bowman's ride. I think if by memory Bowman got suspended and the horse got a certain weight, et cetera, which gave Boss the ride last year. Interesting program by the stable, going from very, I thought it was no hope in the Lightning and raced like that. He's not a 1,000 metre horse. He's always had that chink in his armour there where he goes a certain speed through the first section. He doesn't have that killer punch. He needs things to go to his liking. Yep. Thought in his latest start, if he got back to his regular position, the way the track raced on the day, he probably couldn't have won or couldn't have finished figured in the finish. Bossy made a decision to go forward. I thought it was very interesting looking at the vision. The horse probably raced like he had his mind on other things at the moment. He may have left a Group 1 in Melbourne. The Newmarket looked his race, but they left that behind and took the option to go to Sydney. For Bossy's not a regular stable with the rider for the Godolphin camp, so it's probably not too hard a decision to boot Glenn off. And when it comes to a lot of those riders who don't ride for those bigger camps, you only need one thing not to go your way and you're out the door primarily. So Bossy, unlucky, but you always had the feeling that Bowman was going to be back on eventually. He's the one who's had the ultimate success on the horse, so it's the way it is, and that's the way it goes.
Interesting you say that potentially the horse's mind is on other things. We know at the end of this prep, he'll be standing at stud for Darley. So the TJ pretty much will be his last start unless they want to tack on an all-age stakes over 1,400 metres a week later. But it'll be interesting when we get to the TJ. Let's get stuck straight into the card, mate. Race 1. It's an open race for 2-year-olds. Not sure how or whether this is a race you want to bet in, but I want to ask you about one horse. And I feel like on this podcast, we can probably delve a little bit deeper. We've got some pretty educated questions coming our way and our audience is sort of craving that sort of analysis, but readily available at the top of the weights there, Hayden. Give you a chance to get it up. But last start, ran 5th in the VRC size Group 2 level behind Lightsaber at Flemington, recorded the best last 200 of the day and the second best last 400. And it was a Group 1 day where the Newmarket over 1200 was run on the same day. Interested to get your thoughts. What do you make of a run like that where overall I think the number was sort of a -3 overall, but when you reel off those sort of sectionals, perhaps you've got to respect what talent the horse might have?
Yeah, it's a flashy run. It's an indication of a horse who does have the potential, but he definitely hasn't put it all together in terms of an all-round race shape. A lot of these horses that do have some quality can rattle off very fast sectionals, particularly off slow race shapes.
Yep.
When the slow race shape has a slow build through the mid-section of the race, they basically get an opportunity. They get to the 400-metre mark and they're just full of energy. They just explode over the last 200. And basically you find out a horse who's got high-level straight-line speed under the right circumstances. Went 8.8 through the -8.8 through the first section. There was a 5.3 length increase in speed, which got him to -3.5 through the second. Exploded through the last 400, plus 5.3 over the last 400. He did suffer a 2-length slowdown, 6 to the 4. So that was a big burst of energy. You know, that's a 4.9 length exertion over the space of 200 metres. And he climbed off that with an extra 1.1 over the last 200. So there's some X factor there.
Yep.
But when we're going in the rules of the laws of physics, mate, we're not based on infinite. So for every one you tack on, you don't necessarily take one off. For every length you go faster earlier, normally does a little bit of damage to that finish. So a horse like him, lightly raced, only exposed 1,000, then 1,100 wet track. His 1,000-metre first start was good. And again, he showed that zing late and again off a slowdown. So definitely a horse with some talent. If he can bring that to a race with a hotter tempo earlier and particularly higher pressure through the mid, definitely a horse of some quality. And everything points towards him having the potential to play a role in a race like this. You're most likely only going to have to go around the benchmark level to be right in it. So, you know, it's a 3-length improvement and it's all going to come through handling early pressure.
All right. So is there anything jumping out to you? I know the form of the Pago behind Shakiro, horses like With Your Blessing, who was beaten less than a length. Who else was in that race? Is that the race? The Riesling didn't rate as well for the fillies. And there were actually a couple of others out of that Lightsaber race, like Safe for Team Hawks. Converge was also in that Shakiro race. But is there anything here jumping out at you, or is it just a stay out race?
What time's this race on?
You're probably going to tell me it's lunchtime. Let me see. Well, I don't have the time on me here, mate.
Well, whatever time this time's on, if you haven't got your Easter eggs for your kids, now's a good time to shoot out and grab them, press record, watch this tomorrow.
Yeah, fair enough. I reckon I could have a little entertainer on readily available if I wanted to get in the festive spirit. $14 and $4.20. I might have some of the $4.20 the place on readily available. Interested to see if Andrew Adkins can settle closer and not get so far back on the horse, and then we'll really see what's under the bonnet. Race 2, Selwood Stakes. Master of Wine is the favourite here. A horse that's promised the world. Haven't really seen him deliver to the absolute top heights yet. Shared Ambition, one of our favourites as well, $3.20 second favourite. On Taunt, $4.20, and then it's $15 the rest. So the market has it a race in 3.
Yeah, scary race. Master Wine I could entertain, got no interest at the short quote. Best horse in the race, shows up, he wins. Why? The question I've got is, why is he here? There's bigger fish to fry over the Sydney Carnival. If he's going any good, he's not here. Or are the boys just trying to get to the bottom of him and see if there's a win in him to get some confidence back? Shared Ambition.
He's on a 7-day backup, Hayden. So what did you make of his run last week behind Very Elegant and a day?
Monster exertion through the mid-race, 18.1 length squeeze through the mid, hit a peak of 5.1, plus 5.1 between the 8 and the 6, left him exposed. 3.6 length slowdown, 4 to the 2, little increase in speed last 200 late, but that straight race is pretty hot. So there's going to be some natural increases in speed late. They seem to flounder around that corner and then accelerate late into that track last week. So he's definitely going good. Whether he can hit the Withering Heights he set this time last year, you know, they're heavy, soft and heavy track runs. To me, he was a Caulfield Cup horse and he looked like he was just going to deliver in a race like a Caulfield Cup. He looked like he could win a Cox Plate. At the moment, he looks like he'd be tested in a Bendigo Cup. He's got to do it off his latest. You know, that's a monster squeeze, exposed long way out and early. Hawks are masters at it, but there's a potential there for a flat run. He's a scary proposition at even money.
Just want to stay out of this race?
Yeah, Shared Ambition, he gets the right race. Entente was electric in the Albury Cup. You know, that's the perfect building block for a race like this. And he could go +1 to +1.5 from the front, which makes him really ask horses like Shared Ambition and Master of Wine to sprint hard late and run a decent number. So Entente might be scary from the front. Wouldn't surprise me if it won. Shared Ambition, always dangerous, ready to go again, Master of Wine. Impossible to knock him back in this style of race against horses who are about 2 lengths away from possibly running over hurdles.
Yeah, for me, it's not one I'm really keen to bet into, but if you're asking me to put a tip on top, I'm putting Shared Ambition. Going back to that run, 19th of September last spring, second to Taika Mochi in the 2,000 metre Kingston Town. I think produced sort of a 2.5 sort of performance, which should certainly be winning here if Master of Wine's not at his absolute best. And Master of Wine coming off a below benchmark performance has to improve a few lengths to get there, which he obviously can. But if you ask me to put one on top, I'm putting Shared Ambition. Race 3 is the Untitled Stakes Group 2 for the 3-year-old boys. There might be a few girls in here, but I'll go through the field. Cherry Tortoni, 360. Favreau, 480. The front man from New Zealand, $5. Young Werther, $5. Yaletown, $6. Last start, Hayden, this horse led at +10. How quick is that? Clearly set it up for Hungry Heart. And we know when races are run fast, the class horses stand up and perform. But this horse is coming off a first section +10.
Yeah, I can tell you how fast that is. It's about 10 lengths faster than benchmark. Yeah, great run. Great run.
The risk of flatline, or do you like the three or 4 weeks between runs? How do you assess a run like that? We know generally Vince Accardi will tell us that younger horses can sort of get over a run like that.
Younger horses can get through it if there was 2 brutal combined sections. So there's a monster 13-length slowdown through the mid-race. They're going 2.5 lengths below through the second section. So even though the first section was brutal, the race shape was kinder to it. Monster slowdown gets you through. This is the camp that can defy the logic. Typically, it's a 21-day backup after a red-hot speed. It probably just gets through. I don't think it'll have any problem leading if they want to. Dangerous horse up to 2,000. Respect the camp. Cherry Tortoni. You make your own mind up. Cherry Tortoni, off his first 2 starts this campaign, you want to be all over him. Last start, Mini Valley, they crawled. Monster 13.5 length squeeze. Went from -7.7 first section to +5.7 through the second section. Sustained run late, couldn't make ground the Valley. Winner off and gone. up to 2,000. He's always looked like he's wanted 2,000, but he definitely doesn't have a number at 2,000 to stamp him. So Yaletown might be hard to catch, might do something similar to Grand Slam and attempt to bugger off on these. Favreau and the front man have profiles to give him a little bit of a shake. They settle around that benchmark to +1 level. Benchmark to +1 might be all you need to win. Yaletown might possibly run that from the front. So I'm Yaletown to back up off that speed and to, you know, he got definitely going to have a length and a half up his sleeve, which would put him right in the 2 range. So can't knock him. Like him, Cherry Tortoni, respect. He's got the 1.5 style number. He's the class of the field. From the front man and Favreau.
And there was a bit of talk on Twitter, obviously, Cherry Tortoni's 460 into 360. I don't know if it's been announced yet, but whether they're planning on riding Cherry Tortoni a bit closer, and that certainly brings him into it. And Karen McAvoy is a great jockey assignment there. Race 4, and I'm keen to compare this race to the setup we had with Eduardo last week, because Eduardo beat Nature Strip, was a best of the day performance. The week off at on Slipper Day gave Eduardo 3 weeks between runs. Here we've got Crone coming off a best of the day performance 3 weeks ago, I think of +4.6. Surely she just beats these if she gets anywhere near that number again.
I said I like Tommy Berry, and I put Tommy Berry down as a guest for the show.
Yeah.
This guy can seriously train racehorses, Tony Golan. He's a serious racehorse trainer. Probably doesn't get the credit he deserves because he's up in the northern states. If he was playing down in Melbourne or Sydney, I think many would be of the opinion that this guy is as good, if not better, than any or most. This is a super racehorse trainer. This horse is flying Crone. Repeat of its previous best of the day, +4.6, and it's good night to the rest of these. Normally when you get a race with Graceful Glamour in there, you get the opportunity to run that style of number. So Crone, impossible to knock and impossible to fault. There was series of performances there. You know, we go back and we talk about a horse like what we spoke about in the first race where, you know, slow speeds early, improving through the mid-race, but not to great heights, and then unleashing that +5 style finish. Well, Crone has the similar profile coming through. Like you go back 2 starts, -11.5 through the first section. Monster 16-length squeeze took this horse to +5.2 through the mid and still sustained that +3.5 home. The level of pressure you're talking about from one section to the next, and then sustaining that late and only coming home, you know, 2 lengths slower than that horse over the last 400 metres. That's what brings out a brilliant horse versus just another flash in the pan style, nice track worker. Gets the opportunity, its following start goes almost 14 lengths faster through the first section, still builds mid-race, still finishes +3.2 through the final 200, through the final 400. This little mare's flying, and when these mares hit this level of form, they're impossible to fault. So completely agree. Crone on top. Graceful Glamour is the horse that I kept coming back to. She does this and she does it often. She's a horse who's proven multiple times that she can fail and visually run poorly, rebound and hit back hard. The first up this campaign, Flemington, the early speed profile +5.4, said that she'd come back ready to play. It was horrible, Moonee Valley. As soon as it rained, she was gone, beaten 50 lengths, didn't lead. She can rebound here, gets track pattern to suit. Ocean X is the horse you've got to watch. And you've got to watch where it's going. Then the race falls down to horses like Ice Bath, All Saints Eve, Nimmerlee, who are about 2 lengths inferior to Crone at their absolute peak. So Crone doesn't sharp run the big number again, brings those style of runners back into the game. And opens the race right up. So I'm Crone on top, Graceful Glamour. Ocean X, my watch horse, and then take your pick, Ice Bath, All Saints Eve.
Question from Grant Jones. Has Crone trained off? Do you have to wait until after the race to answer that question?
Yeah, if you got any alarm bells from a mounting yard perspective, possibly. But I think this camp's a bit too smart to come here and fail. And everything off last start says, you know, you could still train off a length and win. So unless you got an alarming drift and a mounting yard disaster, you know, career PB last start, no reason to say it couldn't go there again.
Yeah. For me, Crone's the best bet of the day. I'm happy to take $3. I know some people will say $3 that short. Not when you got a horse flying like this. So you compare I think $2.70 now on Sportsbet and Master of Wine $2.30. You've got Master of Wine who his last 5 starts has finished 6th, 6th, 8th, worse than 9th, and then 5th at $2.30. And then 2 races later, you've got Crone who's won 3 in a row. For me, that's value. Her numbers stack up. The 3 weeks between runs stacks up. And this is a weaker race than that last start. For me, she's as close to a good thing as we'll see on Saturday. So I'm keen at the $3. And if you're not as brave as me, you can probably take the $1.30s and the place and chuck them in your multis. But for me, Crone just about wins. Unless, of course, Grant Jones is right and she has had enough. But from what I've read from Tony Gollan, and he hasn't seen her this week, but he puts heart trackers on his horses. He's happy with how he's going. And the man overseeing his horses in Sydney is Paul Snowden. So that's a pretty good judge, I reckon. So I'm happy to trust them that she's certainly going well enough to back up 3 weeks later here. 1,200 metres Star Kingdom Stakes is race 5. California Zimbal, $4.20. Prime Candidate, $6.50. Pandemic, $6.50. Roheron, $9.50. Senior Fox, $10. Peltzer, $11. Brandenburg, $13. It's $14 the rest. Is this a pretty deep race?
Good race, this one. And a couple of little hidden profiles here with horses who could launch. California Zimbal's the obvious.
Yep.
But little question mark for mine. It's primarily a 1,100, 1,000 metre style profile. And then it seems to fall away a little bit when it gets up to 1,200. Different race shape at 1,200 than it is at 1,000, 1,100. So that's the slight question mark. No doubt the horse is airborne. Hard to beat. Roheron, to me, looks like the leaper in the race. Mm-hmm. Gets a very, very nice race shape and pattern here. Flies the track, flies the distance. Go back to its first up start, Eagle Farm 1,200 was the best of the day, plus 3.2. Its performance at the Gold Coast was solid, 4th best of the day. A little bit of juice in the ground. Randwick latest does not go when there's any moisture in the ground whatsoever. So looking for a good track. If that track can improve into the G range, that would be fantastic. And if it does, I'm prepared to be stamping this one each way. D. Oliver, J. Cummings. Happy there. California Zimbal, obvious the horse to beat and must be respected.
Yep.
Horse who could jump out of the ground here at 15-1 is Brandenburg. Dangerous in a race like this. Last start. First up, for a spell. You can put in a run fresh. So there's others there. They primarily revolve around the Cummings camp with Pandemic, Corsa Kate, Deprive, etc.
Yeah.
All of which have the talent to win. Peltzer's an interesting horse, as is Wisdom of Water. But for me, everything points to Roheron being hard to beat if the track's dry. So that's mine on the each way from California, Zimbal and Brandenburg.
As someone who's done this podcast with you for probably close to a year now, the way you spoke about Roheron there makes me want to have an each way bet at sort of $9.50, $3.10 the place. I think I know you well enough now that that's a pretty good push. I had California Zimbal on top. Hard to look past the plus 2.2 last start. Pandemic, it was only 3 starts ago, produced a plus 2.5. But you're right, Roheron's run 3 starts back was outstanding. I'm not sure whether to query this little freshen up. It's sort of been an interesting prep. The horse has never really had a long let up. I know September 19 ran in the Bill Ritchie, ran last, and then came back in December. So I wonder if this is a little freshen up. But I like it. I like the way you spoke, and Ollie too is a pretty good push for mine when could often hold 4 cards in the race.
Dry track vital.
Yeah.
Vital.
All right.
If it's wet, you'll probably put it in the bin.
No, I think it's going to be a dry track on Saturday. Race 6 is the Vinery Stakes, the first of the Group 1s. We have Harmony Rose with the Mwanga form, probably deservedly $2.60. Then you've got Personal. Interesting that James McDonald has jumped off Hungry Heart last start winner to ride Personal here, the VRC Oaks winner. She's also obviously placed in 1,000 guineas. She's $5.50. Hungry Heart, $6.50. Karen McAvoy rides. We've got $12 Impecunious. Eliza Beale, 14. Miravale, 14. Force of Will, 14. $15 the rest. How do you see this one, mate? Because clearly, for me, it's a race in 2. But I'm a punter that likes to go the better value. When I see 2 tips that I find hard to split, I'll just back the one that's the better odds.
Yeah, you can look like that. I've got a little question mark around both at 2,000.
And which horses are you talking about here? Harmony Rose?
I've got a question mark on Harmony Rose and Hungry Heart at 2,000 metres.
Yeah.
I'd love one of them to be stamped at the distance. It's always big, when you've got some brilliance about you, you can take the brilliance up in distance, 1,600 to 2,000, and win if you're just better than them, and they don't have a lot of talent. But there is horses here like Personnel, like Starrel, like Impecunious, etc., who have profiles to suggest that they'll be better suited at 2,000 metres. So dangerous race. It's not, everything from me says that, okay, they jump, they don't go quick. Who's going to have the biggest ping? Harmony Rose will be hard to catch. Can Hungry Heart run her down? Yes, she could. If it was a mile, I'd be chips in Hungry Heart. Race just opens up a little bit with the 2,000, even to the point where I started to make a big case of who's the one who's got a real genuine 2,000 metre profile that could just launch over the top, which to me was Eliza Beale. I thought that was a dangerous horse in a race like this, but doesn't have the IVR number and isn't even close to the others from an IVR perspective. So it was my watch horse and wouldn't be surprised if it beat me, but I'll just look at the race as it is, and I'm Hungry Heart on top of Harmony Rose. To me, they're the 2 class runners of the race.
Yep.
Respect Personnel. Starrel was a horse we mentioned the other week that always had the profile to say it was huge talent, never put it together. Well, last starter put it together and it ran a big PB. Dangerous horse in a race like this. And you'll most likely get a big price. They won't, I doubt they'll respect it enough to have it hard in the market. That's most likely the horse, if you're going to have a saver in the race at 15, 20 to 1, that's the one you want to save on. So no knock Hungry Heart. I respect Hungry Heart. Would love it at a mile. 2,000's the only question mark. Harmony Rose, going to be hard to beat, gets right race shape. Starrel, the leaper with Eliza Beale. So difficult race. If you get it, you could easily get it just spot on and just take class wins. Hungry Heart gets the money. Well, it's a sort of race where one jumps out of the ground and says, okay, I'm the best filly here at 2,000. Guys, you forgot about me.
Yep. For me, I've got Hungry Heart on top. The same 2 horses that you mentioned, Hungry Heart and Harmony Rose, they bring the right numbers from their last start. I think Harmony Rose behind Lions Raw and Mwanga, clearly that form stood out for the bookmakers. And I think that number was around a +2.5, +3 performance. Jump in if you want to there, Hayden. And Hungry Heart last start sort of around +3.6, I think. But Hungry Heart actually has a +4.5 to her name. I think it was in the Flight Stakes over 1,600 metres, ran with 3rd of October. Beaten narrowly by Montefilia over the mile. Now, Montefilia obviously went up to 2,000, carried that number with her and smashed them in the Spring Champion. Hungry Heart decided to go the other way, came back to Melbourne, 1,000 guineas. Didn't get it right, but if you respect that Montefilia form, I think Hungry Heart probably would have started close to favourite in that Spring Champion and gone pretty close as well. I understand your doubts on the 2,000 metres, but I think the $6.50 on offer for Hungry Heart is a good bet. $2.15 the place is even better. So I'm a 10 by 40 player in this type of scenario. 10 to win, 40 to the place on Hungry Heart as my second best bet of the day on Saturday. 2,400 metre Tancred Stakes. That's the second Group 1 of the day, race 7. The Cox Plate winner, Sir Dragon, a $6 favourite. Angel of Truth, $7 on the 7-day backup after running 3rd to Very Elegant and a day of last week. Melody Bell looking for a 15th Group 1, which will draw equal with Black Caviar if she's able to do that. She's $7 and interested if you've got any numbers on her from her recent runs in New Zealand, Hayden. Spirit Ridge, $9. Mirage Dancer, $9.50. Toffee Tongue, $9.50. Nickerjack K, $14. We've got a question on our Facebook group about Nickerjack Cave. Chosen One, $15. She's Ideal, $16. Sound, $21. Shrero, $21. Southern France, $23. Chapata, $27. Miami Bound, $31. This is a pretty good field. Let me just get up this question about Nickerjack Cave from Nick Jess Jones. Nickerjack Cave in the 7th race at Rosehill. Thoughts, Hayden?
I think he's a little bit, I think he lacks the class of these. So I think he'll be tested. I don't think he's too far off them. So he's that mid-pack player. I don't expect him to get beaten out of sight. I'll be interested to see how he performs. But to me, I don't have him. He doesn't bring an OS profile for mine that would make me want to launch into him.
And people are probably...
That makes sense without giving too much away.
I think people are looking at Leopardstown, 2 starts back, beat Twilight Payment, who won the Melbourne Cup. So there's a link there as far as horses that have come here. Also, 3 starts back, ran 4th in the Devoy Stakes. Sir Dragonet was 2nd in that race.
Yeah, it's probably about where he is. He's just a couple of lengths off that style of horse. So
and potentially
that's where I've got him.
He might be 3rd up into a Sydney Cup.
Yeah, his profile looks like that would suit him better.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got the brilliance. This is still a race where you have to be really, really competitive in a race like a Caulfield Cup. You got some Caulfield Cup form here, you got some Cox Plate form here, and not only this year, but over the last couple, plus you got a horse going for a 370th Group 1. That's what you're dealing with. And for a 2,400 metre race where you got a general requirement, you probably have to go +2.5, +3, which means you'd have to be a top 4 player in a Caulfield Cup to be competitive. So,
all right, what numbers you got, Melody Bell in New Zealand? Do you have any for us?
She comes in with a +2, +2.5 style profile into this, which puts her right into the race. Obviously, if that track was in the S range, 5 or 6, that's when she's at her optimum best. S5, 6 or 7, that's when you get the very, very best out of Melody Bell. If that track's in the good range, brings a couple right up to her level. And probably not going to get a track pattern to suit either. It's the sort of day where 75% of winners come from leading on pace, stalking midfield. So for the back markers, those midfield are worse to get into the race. It's not easy. And if they're going to ride her cold, it won't be easy for her to be running past some of these. So I respect her without her being on top. Very taken last start by the performance of Toffee Tongue, who I was super keen on and enjoyed the spoils of the ridiculous price that was on offer on that occasion, and think she's got the right profile here to push into that 2.5 to 3 range. Be a mighty hard horse to beat. She looked like when she loomed up in her latest, I thought she was just going to bury them when she loomed up 300 from home, and I thought she just flooded for a few strides before Marquand really got her over the line late. And then I go back and have a look at the numbers, and there was a 1.3 length slowdown between that 4 and the 2, and she did regain that over the last 200. So, you know, with her 14th best of the day, 1.9 lengths above, I still see some improvement there, which would put her right into the range. She's always been a horse who's threatened to win a really good race, and this might, for me, is her opportunity. She gets everything in her favour. So once again, you're going to be somewhere between the $8 and $10. For me, she's an each way play in a race like this. There's a ton of horses here that have to be respected. That's why I like them so much from an each way perspective rather than just a straight out win, because it was hard not to be taken by the performance of Sir Dragon A last start, and everything said, okay, I'm back and I'm ready to go. You know, big exertion through the mid race, peaked 8 to the 6, you know, first section -10, and then between the 8 and the 6 traveling +4.5. It gives you an idea of the level of exertion required. You know, you can easily forgive him for the failure at Moonee Valley. You had to be taken by his performance. You've only got to go back and have a look more along the lines of the Melbourne Cup. It was a monster performance in the Melbourne Cup to see that he is a class horse from anywhere 2,000 and above. And he did give the indication that he's raced all preparation like he's been dour. So, you know, out to 2,400 metres here might be right up his alley, and he doesn't have to improve far in order to be winning. So he goes in for second place for mine. Big respect here for Mirage Dancer. I thought it was an extremely dangerous runner last start at big odds, and ran really well. Again, another horse, 1.5 length slowdown, 4 to the 2, then came off the back of them. Little bit of natural magic, 1.9 length acceleration last 200. So again, dangerous runner, has a great OS profile, starting to run back to that. Also has a 20th best of the day, +2.3 over this distance at Randwick. So dangerous horse, watch this space. So the 2 for mine are Toffee Tongue, Mirage Dancer, and Sir Dragon A's definitely got to be respected. That's the race for mine, but ton of winning chances. And again, I said it before and I'll say it again, keep your eye on Miami Bound going towards the Sydney Cup. Flying.
She is, and she's another one, though, that I think will be best suited on soft ground. We saw that Cox Plate Day, didn't we? Just trying to get up here the last start. So we had Toffee Tongue come out of the same. Toffee Tongue won the race. Spirit Ridge second, Mirage Dancer third. So Toffee Tongue coming off a +1.9, and then you can work back with the margins. Spirit Ridge closely beaten Mirage Dancer +0.9, and you're right, that Mirage Dancer +2.3 in the Metrop 2,400 metres Randwick. The horse that ran second that day was Mugatoo. Probably a good thing beating Mugatoo, to be honest, but that was a pretty quality performance, +2.3 over 2,400. Mirage Dancer looks like the perfect sort of prep for this. For me, I could entertain Mirage Dancer. And the other one that I want to give a chance is Melody Bell, and maybe it's a bit sentimental, but, you know, she comes to Australia and rarely puts a hoof out of place. We sort of had that +2 profile last time she came here. She ran in the McKinnon Stakes, ran third to Arcadia Queen. I think Arcadia Queen produced a +5.5. So Melody Bell beaten 2.5 lengths means she produced about a +3 performance, which if she took that +3 performance to 2,400 metres, she'd be winning here. And that was on a good 3 that day too. So I understand that soft track gives her a massive advantage, but she can produce it on a good track as well. So I'll probably have little bets on Mirage Dancer and Melody Bell. Of course, you don't have to bet. It's a really open race, that race. Race 8, Doncaster Prelude, Group 3, 1,500 metres. This is a cracking race. Interested, I think the Doncaster's next week, Hayden. Do you read into what horses are already guaranteed to start? Do you think horses here that are going to the Doncaster are here to win anyway? Rocks $4.20, Yardash $4.80, Subadar $6.50, Buffalo River $9.50. Creaderis $10, Bottega $11, Purple Sector $13, Dawn Passage $18, 21 the rest.
Oh, I can only read the race on paper, and what I got's what I got to deal with. Who gets the right race, who gets the right race shape. When they get to the 400-metre mark, if you're in the right spot and your opportunity presents, you're going to be mighty hard to beat. So to me, Dwayne Johnson gets his opportunity. I don't know. He's a funny horse.
He's low flying, isn't he?
Yeah, he's flying. Everything to me says it's rumble time on Saturday. Hawks camp, this would have just been the Tommy Berry rock and roll time. But we get another little jet and Brenton Abdullah goes on. So no knock at all there. Good quality rider. He'll be keen as mustard to ride a good race for the Hawks boys. Had to put him in play. The Hawks boys will probably have 75 runners in the Doncaster. So give him an opportunity to get a ride on one of those. He's on top for mine. He's the horse to beat.
Yeah.
From Yao Ming. Flying. Would have been Nash for cash time on Yao. Yao was gone last start, Rosehill. And then Nash did what Nash does. And somehow going 5.6 lengths through the first section, leading from barrier 62, got across, horse slowed down, horse dipped -1.5 from the 4 to the 2, and somehow Nash found 2.2 lengths over the last 200 metres. The guy's a jet.
He's not riding tomorrow, though.
I know, but we get Craig, so that's fine. He's going to be the one to run down, but I think Dwayne can run him down. Another horse that I'm extremely interested in has the rock star profile, has not put it all together yet, but to me still might be
might have just lost you there, Hayden. Bad line. I think I've dropped out here. So are you there?
Yep.
Sorry, mate. Go ahead.
Purple Sector I was talking about. Good profile, strong profile. First up run indicates come back in good order. 5th best of the day, plus 0.7. Conditioning decline last 200 of about 2.2 lengths over the last 200, and it was purely conditioning. So this horse will elevate, can go anywhere into the 1.8 range, could possibly get it into a peak of as high as +3, but think it peaks 3rd up. So whatever it does on the weekend, it'll rocket off that again. Dangerous horse. Big respect for it. So I'm Dwayne Johnson, Yao Ming, Hubert Bowman, Purple Sector.
All right.
Good race.
Yeah, it is a great race. For me, Rock goes on top. Hard to knock. This horse is low flying, as you said. Last start, 3rd to I Am Superman. Really good really good numbers from a lot of those horses. The horse that ran second, Think It Over, came out last week and won impressively at big odds. Don't overlook how good this horse is going. He's clearly the one to beat for mine. The one I want punters to have in the quaddie, do not miss out if this horse wins, if you're having a quaddie, and that is number 2, Mr. Seawolf, $41, $10 the place. Second up last prep, plus 3.2 performance in the Group 2 Chelmsford Stakes. Beat Yulong Prince and Finch. That was 1,600 metres at Randwick, 5th of September, ran plus 3.2. And that was second up. Here, it comes out of the same race as Rock, beaten 4 lengths. So respect that Rock is a bit ahead of this horse at the moment, but this is a horse that improved sharply second up. He did it the prep before. I think he might have even produced a +4 type performance second up the previous prep. You might be able to help me out there, Hayden. And Waller, I'm pretty sure Waller's the only one in this race. And Mr. Seawolf just looks like one of those horses where Waller thinks, I can't win a Doncaster with this horse, but I can win a Group 3 Doncaster Prelude with this horse. And Chris Waller's very big on horses and their profiles. When do they generally peak in a prep? Some horses he gets to peak first up. This is a horse that, to me, looks like he peaks second up. We saw this sort of setup with Star of the Seas going to the Blamey as well. So I just want to make sure punters respect Mr. Seawolf. If you are a punter that likes chasing big odds, $41 and $10 looks big odds for Mr. Seawolf for mine, but I've got Rock on top.
I think you've nailed that one.
Last race here, mate. And as you said, Yao Ming, you got us out of trouble 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, the card got called off. Last week, you gave us $11 winner seasons. Can you give us one here to get out of trouble?
I've got nowhere near the level of confidence coming into this race as what I did last week.
No, unfortunately, we've had pretty quality races to finish the last few cards. This one, we got a benchmark 88, Great News 550, Star Spangled Rodeo $6, Bound to Win 850, Academy $10, Nudge 11. Look, it's not really exposed form, is it? The Godolphin horse, Cigalis at 14, Thigh Kingdom Come at 14 as well. This is a tough race to finish.
Yeah, it is a very, very tough race to finish. And there's an even spread. You know, when you get to the top of the line, you're in the +1 range. And when you get around 8 to 10 horses deep, you're in the benchmark level. And then when you get down to the bottom of the grid, you start to drop away into anywhere between -2 and -5. And then when you look at it, they still have 2s and 1s and whatnot next to their names. So extremely difficult race. If you
give us something, Hayden. Give us something.
See, I don't. All right. If Thy Kingdom Come doesn't get a run in the Doncaster, the plastic Doncaster, the race prior, he could shake the life out of that. That's his style of race. Sir Hubert goes on to Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Dangerous runner at double figure odds. And there's one we can watch that's down the bottom. It's number 119, Lunchies at 50s. We can have a little look. He's got a nice little OS profile and he has the right profile for a race like that. So mounting yard with a horse like him, vital. There's been no eyes on him. But you've got to keep your eye on a runner like that. He could be dangerous at 50 to 1.
That's the 6th emergency, so probably won't get a run.
Yeah, he'd be going to be dangerous somewhere else by the sounds of it. You know, you can't knock Great News. You can't knock Star Spangled Rodeo, whatever his name is. And Nudgy's flying. So, like Kingdom Come, if it's in this race, dangerous runner.
Comes off ran second to Handle the Truth last start. They ran a track record over 1,400 metres.
Which horse was that, sorry?
This is Thy Kingdom Come last start. Handled the Truth, won the race, and they ran the track record 1,400 at Canberra.
Yeah. Right race, right horse, right race. He runs here. Extremely hard to beat. Goes somewhere in the 1 range, which you'd 1 to 1.5, which would put him right to the top of the pile. So him and Nudge would be the 2 horses that I'm confident are going very, very well and can leap to the level required to win. But the race is mighty deep, and I definitely don't have the same level of confidence as I did when you mentioned that a certain mare was $11 last week.
Yeah, fair enough. I do though. I like your theory that John Thompson's obviously got enough of opinion of the horse to have a crack at a Doncaster Prelude. Currently, Emergency misses out there, and $14 in a benchmark 88 later in the day. That does seem like a good argument, but respect their punters. If you got a little something left in your pocket, maybe have a little bit on Thy Kingdom Come to finish, or if you've got $2 left, or maybe you can get out of trouble with that horse. Let's wrap up, mate. And then I just want to mention a couple at Caulfield. Actually, we do have a couple of questions at Caulfield. Have you got any form at Caulfield to answer a few questions here?
Go for it, mate.
All right. There was a question about race 2. I'm pretty sure one of our followers owns a share in a now going round. Love to know your thoughts on Canadian Gold race 2. This is Russell Back, who's part of the Next Gen Syndicate as well. He's got a small share in her, and he's super excited for tomorrow with Canadian Gold in race 2.
He should be. She's a beautiful little horse from the Corstons camp with Mr. Lachlan King on board. She was a really good performance sale in her first start. She was a best of the day performance there. She went 0.2 above the IVR benchmark. Love the way she ran through the line. Always a little challenge. First go 1,400 and you step into the big smoke. But this race isn't difficult, and she certainly has each way claims. The little question mark though, rail in the 6 metre position, so riders are going to have to be on the ball. Small fields be dominated from those on speed stalking. And it's the bigger fields are going to be the ones who'll get the opportunity to get 7-8 off the fence, who can really run on late. So it's a 2-way play, rail 6 Caulfield. Got to be wary. So she's got a little challenge to make sure she can be close enough.
All right.
Nice horse.
Yeah, good luck there, Russell. Bennett Racing horse as well. We've got Defiant Diva with the team. So good to see their silks go around. And $9 and $2.70 might be a nice little each way play. Question from Daniel O'Keefe with Be Good to Your Mother. I'll just get up the race. It's race 8, 1,400 metre Victoria Handicap Group 3. I think we see the horse first up here for Dan Bowman. Can Be Good to Your Mother get back to his best?
Can it? Well, it can, but will it?
Let's talk briefly about this horse, because it was probably 3 preps ago that if he brought those sort of numbers, he'd be winning races like this. He was just smashing horses on speed. He'd go forward, run big numbers. They couldn't catch him. We haven't seen him produce that early speed lately, have we?
No, he tried. August last year, 29th of the 8th, Caulfield 1,400. He tried to go back there and couldn't sustain it. He couldn't sustain it. He was going probably 2 to 2.5 lengths slower than what he was capable of previous. So he had the awesome campaign late 2019 where he put the string of top level performances together, and he had a best of the day 6.1 next to his name, and he looked like he was going to be an outstanding 1,400 metre / possibly even a mile. Then they put him in the paddock and he had a 125-day freshen up. And he certainly didn't return anywhere near. They may have left some money in the tin in the spring campaign to bring him back for that quick autumn. Then he had the 28-day break, fell apart Randwick, didn't like the wet track. Then he had 161 days, come back Caulfield. It just doesn't seem the same horse. So there's two horses there. You take him on the earlier one from 2 years ago. Yeah, he's right in the, like, you'd be winning. But if you take him off take him off any of the 2020 form in a race like this, he's no way. So for me, he's a definite watch and learn.
Yeah.
You know, they can trial good, but all good horses trial good. So, I couldn't touch him, but if he beat me, I could understand.
All right. I like this race as a potential betting opportunity. Pretty Brazen's 550. I think they might be looking at, like, obviously she can win. She's going pretty well. Second up last prep, she beat Arcadia Queen, which I think is part of the reason why the punters are attracted to her. I wouldn't overlook Mr. Quickie. His number in the two-rack last prep, I think he was third up that campaign, was massive. Here he's third up again. Forgive him last start, Moonee Valley in the All-Star Mile. That track was falling apart and didn't suit him. I think back on a good track at $8, he's $9.50 into $8. I think he can run a big race. And Grey Worm's the other one who has a right number, a bit like how you explain with Bivouac, just needs the right race shape where Grey Worm can sit off him a bit, build into the race and really let down late. I think they've been riding this horse too aggressively early. Comes out of that I Am Superman race where Think It Over ran second and Rock starts favourite in the Doncaster tomorrow. I can't remember off the top of my head, but from memory, they went very quick that first section with Grey Worm, and I don't think that's the way he should be ridden, with a bit of a softer lead and then build into the finish. I think $11 he can run a race there. Did you have any thoughts on this race before we flick over to one more?
I was super keen on Age of Chivalry at Moonee Valley. And visually, I thought he went very ordinary. Then I come back and have a look at the numbers that they've ran and the way they got around that racetrack, and it was mission impossible for that horse to do anything. 5.5 length squeeze through the mid-race, strong, sustained last 800, gets to Caulfield, gets to 1,400, gets that master D Lane back on board, and gets a pretty kind barrier for him. He can just drift across and find a position where he wants. So he's a dangerous runner for me on the each way play. Was taken by Riddle Me That's performance. Moonee Valley went to a new level, so I've got to respect it. 15-1 Cuba's the dangerous runner.
Yeah.
Open race, not overly interested, but I'm warming to Age of Chivalry.
Yeah, all right. Well, when we give out 5 horses between us, it shows that it shows just how open a race it is. The other race that I was interested in, Hayden, race 6. We see Alpha Oro $2.70, Diamond Effort $5, Order Mercy $7.50, Octane $7.50. I'm pretty keen on Diamond Effort as a 1x4 play here. First up, last prep ran at plus 2.9. No reason can't run that number here. I know she's probably a better horse at 1,100 than 1,000, and you might tell me that 1,000 is much too short for her here, but she did run well in the Moya Stakes at 1,000 metres, beaten just 2 lengths by Pippi. That was second up. Track was probably a touch firm for her that night as well. I think she can run a decent race at $5 here, not taking anything away from Alpha Oro, the favourite.
Interesting race, because I thought Alpha Oro was primarily just a sprinting wet tracker. It was dynamic anywhere from 955 to 1,200 metres, providing there was some give in the ground. Then Moonee Valley, 955 comes out and runs a 5th best to the night, plus 2.5. And you say, okay, well, you can go on the dry.
Yeah.
Still Moonee Valley, so just a little question mark surrounding that. Some horses do like that grounds horse who, that could have been one of the best sprinting horses we had, but we never really seen the best of. Had a ton of problems, diamond effort, real dangerous in races like this. Little challenge for the first section, whether it can get into the spot. Most likely, JLK will push for the position outside leader. If she finds that, she can bust Alfa Oro from that spot.
Yeah.
She could also get pinned wide because there's a bit of speed there with Sartorial Splendor engaged. So there's a risk she could get pinned 3 wide, which would firmly put the race back into Alfa Oro's hands. Could be even quite possibly be a checkmate move for that horse. So difficult race. I think there's some alarm bells around Sword of Mercy as well. I think that horse going a little bit better than what many may think.
Is she a 1,000-metre horse, though? For me, Sword of Mercy back to 1,000 metres is a negative.
Yeah, 1,000, 1,100. Providing it's not 1,200, that's fine. More of a case of she gets the right race and she gets a beautiful barrier. She might be the horse who's just stalking those 3 if they want to get a bit silly in front. She just might land right on their tail. She might be the one you just don't miss the each way on from a race shape perspective.
Yeah, fair enough. For me, I like Diamond Effort, and Jamie Carr was a tick there, but nice race to just watch anyway. While we got your race 7s, the Group 3 Easter Cup, Persan $3.40 favourite. Did you want to mention anything there before we sign off?
It's going to be hard to beat that horse. Gone to a new level.
Yeah.
Gone right to a new level. Last start, 7th best of the day, plus 2.3. Was very impressive too. It looked like it was gone. Irish, whatever its name is, with M. Cuzzy Bro Walker on board. Looked like it had him cold. This horse was very good over the last 400 metres. Last 200 super. Little acceleration there late. Not easy to do zinging around Moonee Valley. I think it's drawn in the car park in 15. So going to take a good ride from Jai, which might cause you to get a little bit better price than what you probably should here. Maha Madeus is your watch runner. Didn't to my eye just didn't go on the concrete Albury track 2000 last start. Everything prior said it was flying. Could have also been potentially flat off the performance at Flemington. So that's the one that can jump right out of the ground. Then there's a bunch of the rest. The other one worth mentioning, dangerous runner, replay horse. If you want to go and find a horse who has a few altercations in the race shape, 8 to 6 peaks, speed plus 2.1, length slowdown 6 to the 4, length increase in speed 4 to the 2, 1.2, length decrease in speed 2 to the 0. At Morpheville last start, that's Ladon Da Vinci, whatever his name is, Jamie Carr on board, nice horse.
Yeah.
Great OS profile, would smash these at its best. So dangerous horse, keep your eye on positive mounting yard and the push with the market. Don't be surprised if this horse has got a bit on these at this distance. So, yeah, not overly keen to bet though, mate.
Yeah, I'm not either in that race. All right. Final question here from Nicole Nugent, who I think might be in your you got a little punters club with some next gen owners, mate, because she says punters club need more winners. Hayden, what's your best on Saturday?
What's my best on Saturday? My best on Saturday is ensure that the wife and the kids have a beautiful spread of Easter eggs and hot cross buns for Sunday. And if you need to, keep the gun in the holster. That's my best.
That's boring. I'll tell you what Hayden's best is. Having done the podcast with Hayden for probably a year now, Hayden's best is Roheron each way. The way he spoke about Roheron, for me, you want to bet there. So Hayden's best each way is Roheron. My best is Crone. I think the 3 weeks between runs is perfect, and I'm Hungry Heart as an each-way play. I think Rock will be very, very hard to beat in the Doncaster Prelude as well, but don't be scared of the $3 on Crone. I think that's a great bet. Mate, this has been a long chat, but I think we've given our listeners something to really watch over this break. I hope they enjoy the analytical side of things. Please give us feedback. If we're being too technical, let us know. If you want more of that sort of IVR insights, let us know as well. We had a great day last week, and hopefully we can back it up again tomorrow.
Who's the most improved? Eduardo, Tex Walker.
How many's he kicked tonight?
I don't know. Looks like a few, though. I think we could throw Josh Bruce. I thought today was April Fool's Day, but I didn't realise that was yesterday when I seen Josh Bruce kick 10.
Yeah. Although I should, I was tempted to actually take the Bulldogs to win 100+ over North Melbourne because they're simply flying at the moment. Happy Easter, mate. Happy Easter to everyone following Next Gen. If you're not religious, enjoy the weekend anyway. All the best, mate. See you, buddy.
Bye for now.